Hi, I am here today with Carl Von Stetten. Hi, Carl, how are you?
H- Good. How are you, Stephanie?
Good, good, good. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I
Thank you for
appreciate
hosting
it.
it.
Yeah, so the purpose of this interview is so it gives the families in our district who are families of children with disabilities, an opportunity to get to know the candidates, outside of the candidates night and outside of other events, but just to kind of talk about issues that are really specific to our families and to kind of hear from the candidates, their viewpoints on it. So I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me
Yeah,
today.
great. Glad to
So,
be here.
so with that said, I sent the candidates some questions in advance, and the
Yes.
first question was about inclusion, DEI. So, when
hmm
you hear terms like inclusion, diversity, and equity, how do you believe that students with disabilities fit into these principles in our district? And as a Board of Education member, how will you advocate for true inclusion and equity for all students?
So yeah. Yes, diversity is important. But when I think of special needs, I think more of inclusion and equity, really. Some of the programs that are being offered at the schools, like the life skills room that they just built in the grade 9 center is a great example of being inclusive to our special needs students. I mean, I find that to be extremely important. I can give you an example. I may have told you this before. I don't know. I have a cousin who has Down syndrome. He had a wonderful experience in his school district. He had great opportunities, and he was able to mainstream into Houghton University, which is a college in upstate New York. And he got a college degree, and he now works as a greeter in their student center, and he also does the mailroom there. And I attribute that to some of the life skills that he learned while he was in school. They offered those type of programs. And I find that extremely important, and also inclusion in other activities such as music, which is near and dear to me, and and sports as well. I find that very important.
Absolutely, absolutely. And music is my son loves music. So, that's definitely
Awesome.
something when he gets to high school, I'd love to explore for him. And that's
Yeah.
something that I noticed with your platform is to part of the one of the things that you're running on is on expanding the, or strengthening the arts program, music
Yes.
program.
Yes.
And talk to me about that. So about like what your thoughts are on that.
I would love to see more music classes offered. I know there is a bunch that are offered now. I'd love to see our award-winning marching band expand in size. But that has to do with making sure we have a great feeder program in the elementary schools and the middle schools. I feel, and I've experienced this with my kids. There's a there's a little bit of a difference because it's unfortunate with the elementary school teachers. They go to multiple schools, so we have one
Mhm.
teacher for multiple schools, so it's a little
Yeah.
hard for them to get the individual attention. That does get better with middle school. One of the things that I did advocate for, and I was in committee meetings and things like that, was to get band as a class. They would rehearse after school or even before school, when we had buses, and it was really difficult. But now they have half a block for band, which is great. And I hope to see that expand more. And I would never vote on a budget that cuts music or arts, period. I won't vote on that line item at all.
Okay, we're holding you to that.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, you can absolutely hold me to that. I will not vote, on that.
Okay, that's good. That's good. And part of the work that we do is as a
Mhm.
parent group in our district, and as I mentioned, our CPAG has been up and running for the last 8 years, is reviewing policies, programs, and practices in our district, and really, again, those policies that come down at the state level into our school districts, but really looking at those policies through the disability lens, and
Mhm.
ensuring that there's access and inclusion for all students.
Mhm.
How will you approach decision making on policies, programs, and practices that impact students with disabilities?
I think all of our policies we need to approach it in that lens. I think as board members, we need to ask if there's new policies or any of these policies we see, how does it impact our special education community? Like an example, we talked about actually during the cast was before and after care, hopefully expanding that into middle school. I know that's not a school thing, that's the town thing, but it's something that maybe with a shared services agreement we can work with to expand before and after care to middle school and with the special education community in mind.
Yeah.
That's a important thing.
Yes.
And also an advocate in Trenton too. I think there are things that I think we could do better advocating for our kids in Trenton.
Mhm.
Special education or not, I think with the budget, which was last year's budget was an example. I think we should have advocated a little better for more money from the district, for the district. But that's my thoughts on that with the Trenton.
Right. And and to that thing that we talked about, I kind of bum rushed you after candidates night
Yeah.
because because
Yes.
I agree because I that is something that as parents we and our parent group we have heard from parents who reach out saying, why do we not have aftercare for middle school, at middle
Hmm.
school, and again for us parents of children with
Hmm.
disabilities where there are some challenges there, and it would be great to have that expanded into the middle school.
Yeah, and I agree. And the thing with the elementary school side of it too, um, I kind of was a little. One of the candidates said it was a daycare, and that's not the case at Southwood. I can tell you that from experience.
Yeah.
They have teachers that do work the program. I don't know if that's the case in every elementary school, but I know at Southwood they have teachers that work the program, and they do help the kids with their homework and aftercare. They do help them with things that they're having trouble with. I've seen it with my own eyes, so it's definitely I think we could do better working with the town to get shore that up on the elementary level and expand it to the middle school.
So how would you go about bridging and this maybe I'm jumping down a little bit into sort of the next question, but you know, we talk about the collaboration. How would you go about creating a collaborative environment? Because getting a shared services agreement is going to take collaboration.
Yes,
How would you go about getting collaboration let's start first between our town council and our board of ed. It seems that there's a disconnect
absolutely.
there. How
There,
would
there
you bridge that?
definitely, there definitely is a disconnect, and I know the BA is responsible for a lot of that with the shared services agreements, but I think encouraging, not necessarily having joint full council meetings with the full board of education, maybe have a committee or a shared services committee, which I think already exists, but have that and meet with the council, meet with the mayor. You know, try to work something out with our needs and with taxpayer money in mind, of course. But I think there needs to just be more communication between the two.
And how would you go about mm, what does communication look like to you? What would that kind of communication be?
Simple. I would reach out, email, phone, talk to them like that. Schedules meetings, regular meetings to say, okay, this is what we need. What can you provide? You know, work with those groups. Even work with and I'll answer the rest of your question because I know there's more to that question.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely would be more communication, more emails, more because it's almost like right now it's adversary in a
Yeah.
sense, and
Yeah.
I don't like that. I think we need to work together a little more on shared, like I said, shared services, communicating better and whatnot.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. So the next part of that is again about the going back to acknowledging that in our town, Old Bridge is a very diverse town. There's a lot of
It is.
diversity within our town. So how would you make space to hear and respect the diversity of the families? No two families look alike in our town, and how would you make space for that?
Absolutely. And the thing that I've always said is I will listen. Even the people who are not going to vote for me or have opposing views of me, and even the even the people who are not so nice to me on social media, um, I will absolutely listen to them. Their concerns are just as valid as anybody else's concerns. Like I said, I may not agree, but I will always lend an ear and I'll always listen. And I do that via email, social media, meetings, committee meetings, just being available, and I'll listen. Example, when I'm at work, I have a team. When I interview people, the question a lot of because it's customer service based, the question I ask a lot is how do you handle an irate customer when they come up to you when
Mhm.
you're on the phone, if they're yelling at you or something like that? And the answer I'm looking for is I listen, I let them vent, I let them voice their frustrations, and then I speak and then say, hey, okay, I appreciate where you're coming from this. I may not agree, but let's see what we can do to work things out.
Mhm. Do you feel that there is a lack of listening currently on the board?
I from my side of things, it depends on who it is. I'm not going to name names, but it depends on who it is. Yes and no. There are some who do absolutely listen, but there are some who just they don't listen.
Right, right. And so how will you, and that I think, so we have nine seats, nine different personalities
Yep.
there. So how
Yes.
will you help to um remove the barriers and try to and also try to create a climate at these meetings. Yeah, I'm sure you hear this. I hear from families too. They feel like they want to speak at meetings, but they're not comfortable going to meetings
Yes.
at times, that it could be contentious. How
Yeah,
will
it
you
is.
help to make the meetings and the environment there safe
Well,
for people?
one of the things is I won't attack another Board of Ed member in public. I've seen that a lot um, in meetings, and that is not my style. I'm very professional. I come from that professional arena, and that's something that I would like. I would address it in private or in closed session if appropriate, but I would not. I'm not big into Board of Ed members attacking Board of Ed members. I saw it during the budget vote. I saw it a few weeks ago. I just don't think that's appropriate, and that turns people off. And you're right, it makes them think, okay, well maybe I don't want to come and answer ask questions.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's one of the things. Like I would maintain the professionalism, and I would encourage if I get elected, I would encourage everyone on the board to do that as well.
And to stay focused on the children, right? Because
Correct.
that's at
Yeah,
the end
that's
of
why
the
we're
day,
there.
that's why we're there.
We're there, and we're there to listen to parents. We're there to be Mr. Citadino's boss, and there's a lot of other things, but it's all in the best interest of our kids. Every kid, every child in Old Bridge, not just certain ones or the other.
And that thank you, because that leads to kind of that next question when we talk about all kids.
Hmm.
And I know that I'll start first with you were running on one of the things that you run on is parental rights. And I want to ask,
Yes,
how would you define parental rights?
I define parental rights as parents being involved in their education and parents, and having that collaborative relationship with the school, with the administration, with the Board of Education. Regardless of how you feel about certain policies and things like that, parents should be involved, be notified, involved in everything that goes on with their kids in their school. I'm not a big fan of teachers hiding things and whatnot. I'm not accusing any teacher in Old Bridge of doing that. Our teachers are excellent, some of the best I've seen, and I'll tell you, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen here like that. But parents still need to know what's going on with their child, regardless
Mhm.
of what's going on, what it is. So
Mhm.
that's really how I define parental rights. I want them to have, and I want parents to have a say too. Look, they're not going to have all the answers when it comes to curriculum because that's not what they know, but they should be aware of the curriculum, aware of what their children are learning. And if they have an issue, they should take the proper steps to address it with the administration, with the Board of Education, even with the teacher if it warrants.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. And I think that that is one of the things, a cornerstone in special education and in the state laws and in federal law is that parents are core equal members of the
Yes.
child's IEP team. So,
Yep.
when we look in the code and you look at members of the IEP team, the first one is the
Hmm.
parent. So
Yep.
I think that there are some protections that are there in special
Yes.
education for parents to help them to be able to effectively advocate for their child. So it's important. And so, kind of going back to the question of the policies and programs that affect students with disabilities, is how will you view or so a policy comes down from Trenton and it will have an impact, it could have an impact whether however it shakes out, an impact on students with disabilities. How will you approach, what will your approach be to looking at that policy to determine if this is something that needs to be reviewed, something that or something that we just say immediate yes, or something that needs to be tweaked? Like how will you, what will you do? What would you be your thought, what, your
Okay.
process?
So my process would be I would, say a policy comes down from Trenton. First of all, I'd read the entire policy. That's the first thing and try to understand it. If I don't understand it, or if I'm looking at it like, oh, this is weird, I'm gonna call Trenton. I'm gonna ask them, what does this mean? Or I'll ask if it's something that, also came to Mr. Cittadino or came to the admin. I'll ask him, what does this actually mean? And then from there, once I have the full understanding, then I can make a decision, yay or nay, and what, and weigh the other issues, like, like I said, look, with the special education committee, with our other students, how does that impact everybody? How does it impact parents? How does it impact taxpayers? That's the questions that we need to ask.
Hmm. Okay.
Yep.
And did you, I don't know if you had a chance, but I included a copy of the inclusion resolution. I don't know if you had a moment to take a look at that or not.
Yes, I did briefly. I was able to review it.
And so my last question on that is, you know, the inclusion resolution, you look at something like that and it really highlights the fact that all children in our district are, respected, and
Of
that
course.
we really do what we can do to uphold the again, the diversity of the students that are in our district.
Yes.
Um, how, as a board member, will the decisions that you make take into consideration the fact that we have an inclusion resolution there, that we talk about the importance of, using person first language and creating an accessible space, equitable space for all students.
Yes.
And when we talk about all, truly all
Yeah.
students,
And
how,
the
go
Oh,
ahead,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I was
No,
going
no,
to say,
no.
and these are things like the resolution you look at. I think the board members should have a copy of that when they're looking at these policies and say, okay, well, how does this affect? Because we have, as you know, when it comes to DEI at Rutgers, it's huge. I mean, we have a huge DEI. I mean, I went through 3 days of DEI training on, because as a manager, I had to go through that training to understand everything. And, I'm proud to say I have a very diverse team that works for me, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. But I was veering a little off subject, so I apologize. But
That's
yeah,
okay.
with the resolution though, I think all board members should have a copy of it when they're looking at the different issues and the different policies that come down and things that we vote on. How would this impact that? How would it impact the resolution? How does it impact our special education students and everybody else as well? Not just them, but everybody.
Good. Okay. Great. Well, I thank you for the time, for taking the
Of
time
course.
to answer the questions, and good luck with everything.
Thank
Couple
you.
more weeks to go in
Yeah.
this election cycle.
And thank you
And
for and thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
good. Thank you, Carl. Have a great
Thanks.
day. Thank
You
you.
you
Take
too.
care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.